I don't normally report on brony drama, but I think this is a fascinating story which involves a friend of mine, and it more or less involves me too. It's a story with a lot of crazy twists and turns, and I think you'll be surprised by the ending. This video isn't an attack, it's not an expose, it's not an invitation to harass any party. I hope that much becomes apparent the more we dive into this. The story begins rather humorously actually, and the sheer happenstance of this is incredible, but sometimes I search my own name to see what other people are saying about me. I know how egocentric that makes me sound, but that's where things started. Imagine my horror when one of the results was not about me, but rather my friend, Tootsie Forever. Tootsie's a friend of mine I've known for many, many years in the brony community. If you watch my vlogs, you've probably seen him around. Maybe you follow his channel yourself. Like any long-lasting friendship, we've had ups and downs, we've had moments of unity and disagreements alike. I think it's safe to say we trust each other. I have to admit, that trust was tested when I saw a title and thumbnail like this. It looked like Tootsie was about to be cancelled, and by pure chance I stumbled upon it largely before anyone else. As you can tell by this screenshot, we're going to be going over some sensitive and very mature topics, but I'll tone things down to make this video less unpleasant to watch. Just looking at the thumbnail alone, Tootsie's being accused of pedophilia, shady dealings, disgusting acts, and being my friend. What a horrible list, especially that last one. So I clicked that video faster than I've ever clicked any video, and this is what I saw.
Hi friends, I'm Chrispy Hansen with Date Night ZBS, and this is To Catch a Philly Fiddler.
It's possible some of you may have heard of this channel. It's a quite small channel, but it's fairly well known in certain sub-communities for rooting out bad behavior in the brony fandom. I've actually stumbled upon it before this incident. It's a well-structured and entertaining format. Who doesn't love to watch a targeted takedown of a person who has it coming? Well, me, because this one's about my friend, and my own name is in the thumbnail, so things are about to get interesting.
Tonight's predator is a man I am sure you are aware of. Maybe you're a fan of his, or, God forbid, maybe you are a friend of his, and if so, I'm genuinely really sorry you had to find out what he's been up to in this way.
Surely you can understand how I feel at this point, right? I mean, it's basically directed at me personally, right? Again, it's a well-made video, and even has a bio to introduce Tootsie as our main character. Let's skip ahead a little bit and get to the good part.
On April 3rd in the late hours of the night, I got a Twitter DM by someone who wishes to remain anonymous for the time being. After a small introduction, they told me of their age, 17, and an experience that they had with Austin at this year's HarmonyCon in February.
This is becoming surreal, because if you've watched my vlog, you know Tootsie and I were inseparable at HarmonyCon. If some horrific act occurred there, it would have had to have been right under my nose. You can probably see where I'm going with this, and yes, spoiler alert, Tootsie is completely innocent. The Twitter DMs this YouTuber received were completely made up, and we're about to go into the details of why. To be clear, the person in this video is presenting facts given to them by an anonymous Twitter user. Obviously, it was wrong to publish this as fact in the way they did, but this person has since admitted as much, and they've been very apologetic to Tootsie and everyone else involved. There's a lot more about that we'll get to later, but for now, let's hear what horrible things Tootsie apparently did at HarmonyCon.
At the convention, there was an impromptu plushie meetup, where people gather their plushies on tables for a fun photo op. After this event, the victim said that Austin took their Twilight Sparkle plushie. Now, keep in mind, Austin did bring his own plushie of a decently similar size, but there are some issues with Austin's excuse that we'll get into a little bit later. It's then alleged that after the meetup, when Austin was back in his hotel room, Austin performed a sexual act in the bathroom on the plushie, while his friends were in the room, just outside the bathroom, getting shit ready for their next panel, or something of that nature. He then goes into the main hotel room, I assume, tells his friends, and it becomes what's known as an inside joke. That line's going to be important in a minute, so keep the phrase inside joke just locked in your head there.
And this was the moment I immediately burst into laughter and felt a tsunami of relief wash over me. There was an inside joke, and I'll explain it in a moment.
It was off camera, you wouldn't understand.
I went into that bathroom.
Tootsie's thirsty.
Inside joke, guys. Inside joke.
You may be wondering what was up with a cat in a banana suit, but we'll get to that in just a moment as well. For now, let's back up and finish hearing the accusations. Basically, the alleged story is that Tootsie stole someone's life-size pony plushie, did unspeakable things to it, and pretended it was a mix-up with his own. And this.
During what should have been a simple fix-up of what looked like a simple mix-up, shied away from the Sony camcorder lenses.
Don't you dare bring my baby into this.
Austin begins filming anyway. To keep the victim's identity private, I've censored their face, but this clip is genuinely important to the story because there's a lot going on in it.
We then see the clip I skipped to earlier, which explains the cat in a banana suit. Apparently, this person is the victim. This person is the one who owns a life-size Twilight plushie which Tootsie stole and ruined. There's two major issues with that story. One, we'll get to in a moment, and the other, this is our friend, MC Jam. She's been with us at various conventions, and if you watch our vlogs, you may already know her. You should go follow her on Twitter and check out her Twitch channel. She does not own a life-size Twilight plushie. She certainly hasn't accused Tootsie of any of these things. I laugh because the whole situation is incredibly absurd. But stop and think for a moment. What if the person on Twitter who's making up this story didn't pick one of our friends to impersonate? What if we couldn't easily defend Tootsie in this situation? Think about that while we get into the supposed proof of Tootsie's evil acts.
The victim's plushie has round, unslanted eyes with matte fur. Now, it's dark in the footage here, but if we brighten the image we can clearly see that Twilight Plush's eyes are not slanted in any clear frame we've taken here in the hotel room clip.
Okay, now we're talking about pony plushies. That's been my obsession for the past few years. This video had me dying of laughter at this point because just one glance at this picture and I knew that's a purple Nebula plush. And of course, Tootsie's plush is an early Blackwater pattern. My Twilight is also from Blackwater. I could talk about pony plushies all day. I think it's pretty clear that this YouTuber got so caught up with a potential piece of evidence that they simply saw what they wanted to see. I think we can all be guilty of that at times. If we're focused on a particular line of thinking or working hard on a project like an expose video, we become blinded by our goal and miss the obvious details around us. I don't think this person was intentionally trying to mislead us into thinking that this isn't Tootsie's plush. I mean, just look at it. Tootsie's is a standing plush pattern, while the purple Nebula plush is the more common lying down pattern.
It was off camera, you wouldn't understand.
It definitely lines up with the victim's story in that it happened off camera before they filmed this clip.
I went into that bathroom.
That's a quarter of confession plus a bit of the shaky hand. We'll take that.
Tootie's thirsty.
Now, yes, thirsty could mean he's craving some water.
Yes, that's exactly what happened off camera. Alright guys, I have a confession to make. I was the one in the bathroom. That's me there, in case it's not obvious. Just before this recording, I was in the bathroom doing normal bathroom things. I was definitely not accompanied by anyone's Twilight plushie. While I was washing my hands, Tootsie expressed his desire for some water from the sink, at which point our friend Bobby, also prominently featured in the vlog which you should check out, yelled at the door for me to hurry up because Tootsie's thirsty. I genuinely didn't hear what he said at the time, so I responded with a very confused, what?
Should I hurry up? Tootie's thirsty, and it's like, your reaction is just like, what?
That was the greatest reaction ever.
I didn't know what to say.
I was like, what?
It was genuine
Oh,
confusion.
hurry up in there. Tootsie's thirsty. What?
I should have vlogged it. That would have been hilarious.
Everyone broke into laughter and Tootsie's thirst became an inside joke. Yes, because of the alternate meaning of the word, but it started from a genuine desire to simply drink water. You know, it's exactly like the episode, What About Discord?
Since when have Rainbow Dash and Discord had inside jokes?
A group of friends sharing a silly moment that has zero meaning to those who weren't there. Except instead of feeling left out like Twilight was, the mere existence of an inside joke somehow supported the notion that something terrible had taken place. It's incredible and terrifying how a completely innocuous moment can be taken out of context like this. But wait, it gets much more wild.
Inside joke, guys. Inside joke.
Austin sounds kind of panicked here, like he's trying to keep his cool for the camera, but you can somewhat tell he's nervous about someone spilling the beans a bit too much.
Finally, a criminal psychology analysis which can rival Jim Can't Swim.
Confrontation would normally make an innocent person refute or at least challenge the statement.
According to the victim, Austin has edited this to make it seem that the plushie meetup happened after this scene, when in reality, it happened before, therefore this clip here. On a similar note, the victim says that neither Tootsie, Little Shy, or Sonic Crew filmed the other plushie meetup table, thereby not showing the victim's plush in full view. Really trying to cover their bases.
So now the whole group is accused of a cover-up. Okay, all of the vlogs are edited to specifically hide whatever inside joke occurred in that bathroom, and we all made sure to avoid showing the victim's plushie in our vlogs. In fact, there was a whole other table of plushies at the meetup we failed to document because we wanted to avoid showing that purple Nebula plushie. Here's proof to support that claim.
This person says in this clip, there's that table, and then there's the other one.
That's amazing.
So that's that table. That was the other table.
This person, in a single throwaway line, just ruined any possible defense Tootsie could make in response to this particular argument. There were two tables, one of which allegedly had the victim's plush on it before it was stolen and molested by Austin, that none of these three people who vlogged the experience ever showed. I'm not going to outright say Little Shy or Sonic Crew are 100% in on this, that's ridiculous. But what I will say is that for people who vlogged the entire convention, including the minuscule details they could have just thrown away, fucking weird to think they didn't vlog the other table at all, right?
The meetup first gathered in the hotel lobby. We put our plushies on this table right here. Then, as we grew too crowded, we migrated to a larger room and commandeered a new table. There was never two different tables of plushies at the same time.
The other guys in the room went to grab food or something to that nature, where he then told the, may I remind you, 17-year-old victim what he had done, and that he jokingly dared the 17-year-old to the plushie. The victim abhorred, refuses, and says to Austin they're going to tell HarmonyCon staff, to which Austin attempts to bribe them, which we can guess worked, unfortunately, given that they can be seen at points throughout the rest of the vlog.
Again, everything you just heard is completely made up. The reason you see the alleged victim throughout the vlog is because she's not a victim at all. She's our friend, MC Jam. And we had a great time at the con and exploring the video game museum together. I mentioned this before, but I really want to emphasize how scary this whole situation would have been if the Twitter user didn't make the utterly stupid mistake of impersonating a friend of ours. A friend who is an adult and very much not a minor, by the way. What if these claims were alleged to have taken place behind closed doors where the rest of us weren't around? Tootsie would be in a huge amount of trouble and certainly shunned by the community, which he calls home. This was all quite funny at first because of how absurd it is, but the more you think about it, the more sickening false accusations like this become. After this video went up, Tootsie started to get harassed on Twitter very quickly. His Discord server began to implode as more and more people left it. The comments and discussions elsewhere were so incredibly hateful and so vitriolic towards someone they barely knew. Tootsie had longtime friends and acquaintances immediately turn their backs on him because that's the right thing to do, right? If someone is exposed for a disgusting act, especially involving a minor, it's social suicide to support them. Asking people to think rationally or just wait for a response is always viewed as defending those horrible alleged acts. I think we all need to be more aware of just how damaging that knee-jerk reaction is. One random internet bully, after convincing a YouTuber to spread the word, had the potential to destroy lives. It could happen to you, it could happen to me, and it has already happened to my friend Tootsie. That's not the end though. We haven't even reached the most significant part of the video, the irrefutable screenshot evidence.
These are not only screenshots of the conversation that unfolded between the victim and Austin, but also a screen recording of the victim scrolling through those said DMs. It's live. It's an actual screen recording scrolling down.
To be clear for anyone skipping through the video, these screenshots are completely fabricated. Most likely, someone simply edited the local webpage. You can try it yourself. If you're on a computer, one way to do it is by opening your browser console with F12, enter this line of text, and bam, you can edit my own tweets to make me agree with your favorite pony, or some other unspeakable thing like hating Derpy. The problem is that people are so used to seeing screenshots as proof that no one questions it these days. It takes seconds to edit HTML content. You don't need to load up Photoshop or complicated editing software. It's even technically possible to use deepfakes to imitate someone's face, or use similar AI to generate speech that a person has never said in their life. This technology is here today, but it's way more complicated than a simple screenshot, and in most cases like this, a screenshot is all people need to believe and act upon something terrible. I'm not saying we should ignore those who are brave enough to speak out against abuse. We shouldn't attack people making accusations any more than we should attack those being accused. I'm just saying we need to keep in mind that false accusations can also be a form of abuse. That leads us to this story's unexpected conclusion. Now, while all this was going on, I was pretty upset about what Tootsie was facing. He was being harassed, he was being accused of terrible things, and worst of all, he was shunned by the people he thought were his friends. I was actually the one throwing around the L word at one point, telling Chrispy he better hope Tootsie doesn't lawyer up. Leave it to Tootsie to be so incredibly level-headed and compassionate about the whole thing. A lot of us, including myself, were furious, but Tootsie just wanted to let the truth out and have no hard feelings towards anyone. Tootsie's been chatting with Chrispy regularly. They followed each other on Twitter. Tootsie shared an invite to his Discord server, and he just generally went out of his way to be friends. I think that's really in the spirit of the show. Chrispy could have easily been seen as a horrible villain in this story, but thanks to Tootsie's extension of friendship, the lesson is much more multifaceted than a simple warning about not believing everything you hear on the internet. It's also a story of forgiveness and friendship. I know this has been an unusual video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I have many more videos planned, and yes, the r/plays 2022 video is coming, but it's going to take a long time, so be sure to subscribe if you're not already. In the meantime, check out some of my other videos. Here's hoping I never have to talk about brony drama again. I hope I didn't jinx it.